The late afternoon sun was a painter's dream, spreading molten gold across the gentle ripples of the ocean and casting long, slender shadows from the few scattered pieces of driftwood. Maya walked along the water's edge, the cool, wet sand sinking slightly beneath her bare feet with each step. It was her ritual, this daily communion with the vast, calming expanse of the sea. She loved the scent of salt and freedom, the rhythmic whisper of the waves, a lullaby for the soul. Today, however, the familiar peace was subtly, almost imperceptibly altered. It wasn't a sound or a scent, but a visual detail that snagged her attention. Just beyond the reach of the highest tide, where the sand was still damp but firm, she saw them. Footprints. But these were not just any footprints. They were impossibly distinct, remarkably deep, as if pressed by significant weight. And they began abruptly, right where the last wash of a larger wave had receded. They started, quite literally, from the ocean itself. Her brow furrowed slightly. There were no drag marks, no sign of a body having washed ashore, no indication of a person emerging clumsily from the water. Just footprints, bare feet, heavy, deep, and they were heading inland, directly away from the water's edge. A flicker of curiosity, mixed with a faint, unidentifiable unease, stirred within her. She paused, tilting her head, her gaze following the strange path. Each print was a perfect impression of a human foot, arch, toes, heel, all clearly defined. They seemed to belong to someone of considerable size, or perhaps someone carrying a great burden. She began to follow, her usual leisurely stroll transforming into a focused, almost meditative tracking. The prints led a curiously straight line, cutting across the natural undulations of the beach, ignoring the scattered shells and the occasional piece of seagrass. It was as if the person who made them was moving with an urgent, singular purpose. As she walked, the afternoon light softened further, painting the horizon in hues of rose and violet. The world around her seemed to fade, her attention entirely consumed by the mysterious trail. She found herself imagining the person who had made them. Were they in distress? Were they in a hurry? What kind of story did these heavy, deliberate steps tell? The path continued, unwavering. They weren't meandering, nor were they random. They were leading with an almost unsettling precision towards a point further up the beach, towards the area where Maya herself had just been walking. A peculiar sensation began to prickle at her skin, a subtle shift from intrigue to something akin to apprehension. The prints seemed to draw closer to her own recent path, almost converging. It was then, as she rounded a small, naturally formed dune, that the true, disquieting nature of the trail became terrifyingly clear. Every single print, deep and distinct, was angled directly towards her. Not towards the general shore, not towards the distant dunes, but towards her. The person who made these steps had been walking directly in her direction. Her breath caught in her throat. She stopped, her own bare feet now rooted to the sand. A wave of unease, cold and undeniable, washed over her. She looked back at the ocean, then to the prints directly in front of her, then further down the beach where they continued their unnerving trajectory. And then the impossible happened. The prints, these heavy, deep, bare footprints that began from the very ocean, followed an unwavering line directly to the spot where she now stood, where she had been walking just moments before. And they stopped. They simply stopped. Right behind her. She froze, a sudden cold dread seizing her. The setting sun seemed to cast an ominous shadow, though it was only her own. The whisper of the waves, once comforting, now sounded like a low, knowing murmur. Every instinct screamed at her to turn around, to look, to see what or who had made these tracks and then vanished into thin air. Slowly, her heart thumping against her ribs, she turned. There was no one. The sand behind her was smooth and unbroken, save for the very last clear impression of a bare foot, deep and heavy, as if the person had simply stepped up, lifted themselves, and ceased to exist. Maya stood there for a long moment, the silence of the beach pressing in on her, broken only by the distant call of a gull. The air felt heavy, charged with an unseen presence. She checked her own footprints, then the strange ones, tracing the last one with her eyes. It was utterly baffling, a puzzle with missing pieces that perhaps were never meant to be found. She walked home in a daze, the mystery of the footprints lingering like the scent of salt on her skin. She found herself looking over her shoulder, a strange feeling of being watched, of having brushed against something ancient and inexplainable. The incident stayed with her, a quiet, unsettling memory. It was a reminder that the world held depths and secrets far beyond our immediate grasp, that sometimes the unknown simply presents itself, touches us, and then recedes, leaving behind only the profound question of its existence. The ocean continues its eternal rhythm, and the sand holds countless stories, some visible, some felt, and some, like these footprints, utterly enigmatic. Perhaps the world is simply full of whispers we aren't meant to fully understand, moments that serve as gentle nudges to remind us of the vastness of what lies beyond our everyday perception. What are your thoughts on moments like these when the familiar world suddenly reveals a glimpse of the unexplained? Have you ever encountered something that defied logic or left you with an enduring sense of wonder? Share your experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories and reflections. And if you enjoyed this journey into the mysterious, remember to like this video and follow for more thoughtful explorations into the untold tales of our world.